everyone! Today I'll walk you through some of the cool UI changes in icCube 8.6. We'll look at the MDX console and the dashboard query editor. Let's start with the MDX console. The design is now more in line with the rest of the application, making it feel more consistent. Another change is the option to switch between names and captions. This is a geek example, but it's very useful if you're working with the localized schema. For example, you can easily switch between the default names and translated captions. Next, when writing queries, you'll notice a new query snippet font that's easier on the eyes. And yes, auto-completion is still there to help speed things up. After you run a query, you can see how long it took to execute it on the server, giving you better insight into performance. Pivot table performance has also gotten a nice boost. Let me create a query that will return a pivot-like result. On top of being able to display the result as a pivot table here in the MDX console, you can always show it as a tidy table result. Another nice touch is the documentation panel on the right. You can browse through it or open it in a new tab. You can now save your MDX queries to a repository, just like dashboards. If you make any changes to a query, you see a little dot appear, letting you know that it's unsaved. You can then choose to save or discard those changes. The query is in the browser storage, so if you close and reopen a tab, changes won't be lost. Multi-tab is also supported. You can have several queries open in different tabs, each with their own changes. Saving the queries now work as for dashboards, meaning permissions can be applied to them. And that's it for the highlights on the MDX console. Now let's go to the dashboard editor. Let's start with a new widget so I can show you the updated query editor. You notice that your members are now on the left side, which matches the layout in the MDX console for consistency. And here's a very nice improvement. If your schema includes multiple fact tables, icCube now helps by graying out dimensions that aren't mapped to the fact tables of the measures you selected. For instance, if you drag the amount measure, you'll see that only the customer, product, and time sales dimensions are available. On the other hand, if you select number of campaigns, it will only be compatible with campaign, customer, product, and time marketing. This makes it way easier to work with different facts tables. As we saw that customer is a dimension linked to both sales and marketing tables, let's build a query using those two measures. And here you go. Notice that campaign isn't completely grayed out here. This is a subtle case where it's linked to one of the facts tables and not the other one. If we add campaign to the query, you see that amount remains unchanged per customer, but the number of campaigns will adjust accordingly. A small but useful UI change is that the function settings now open as a pop-up, making it much clearer to use. The statement editor will also be a pop-up when you create a new calculated measure. Just like in the MDX console, you can also switch between names and captions here. And lastly, you now have the option to zoom in and out on the editor drawer for a more customizable view. And that's a quick tour of the updates in the dashboard editor. I hope you find these changes helpful and that they make your work a bit easier. Thanks for watching and enjoy exploring the new features.